dark investments that men make upon the earth. It is a dog eat dog world out there, my people. And sometimes, for many investors, the things that they depend on to recover their expenses are so dark that we could say that they are more than mean. The vultures will eat meat, but they will not kill for it. So they wait, and so too does the mortician. This is how it works, or so it's supposed to be. Except that usually, when large sums of money become involved, things can get out of hand. And when you are investing in science and technology, you realize you have the power to influence the circumstances of your market or customers. You can easily give them a little boost or influence them to buy the product, especially when you have people in power at your side. A man who does not own a home has no choice but to rent one, right? And a man who cannot go in three directions, say west, south, and east, only has one direction to go. So if you limit all other three directions, then you force him to go in the one direction that you want him to go in. So it is all about power, right? So you can always boost or influence. Hello again, my people. It's Skywalker here. Let's talk about the dark investments that people make upon the earth. Sometimes when we look at the goods or services we find to invest in, and even considering the positions we decide to take or believe we have to take to drive profits, we might come across to God or even to the devil as extremely mean. Sometimes, when each subtle mean twist can drive a sale, people get greedier and greedier, and by getting greedier each time, they literally lose their sense of empathy and will now fail to see anything beyond a dollar bill, like the fact that it is people they are talking about. My friends, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, comment too, and share, and let us get the community growing. I had a great friend from Montego Bay who once told me a story that I can't forget. Well, it was meant as a joke. I hope it was only a joke. But he said that there was this doctor couple in Montego Bay. The husband was a well-renowned practitioner, and the wife was coming up fast in his footsteps. She worked as a second doctor at his medical center. You already know that once you enter the doctor's office, you are due to pay for visiting cost already. And visiting cost alone is usually high or fairly high. So one day, a man went to him about a little pain in his ear. The doctor took a look at it, made him a prescription, and told him to come back. Again, you know that when this man returned, there would be more charges. However, it turned out that one day, or one of the days when the patient returned, for he was always returning, the doctor had gone out on a visit. So he decided to go to the other doctor, who was this man's wife. She took a look inside his ear and said, "It's nothing but a bug in your ear. Come, let me take it out and give you some medication." Just like that, in a flash, the man was over his pain. He left a very happy man. Money well spent. When the doctor came, she told him that she took care of one of his patients, but all he had was a bug in the ear and she removed it. At that, the husband went ballistic. He went ballistic, accusing the wife of boxing his bread out of his mouth by stopping the payments from recurring. he had this recurring payment for the man had to come every week. Had she left the bug in the man's ear, the customer would have to return with more money all the time. At what point does money destroy your humanity? People invest in everything. The mortician cannot survive if people don't die. The good thing is that he only waits and hopes, or that's how it should be. And it would seem to me that maybe the Aedes aegypti mosquito could be someone's favorite pet. Those mosquitoes, they could be someone's favorite pet. If these scientists do come up with a formula to rid the world of them, and it is actually carried out, would there be no consequences to anyone? Would someone be crying? Christmas is seasonal, and in that season, some people will make money. Many diseases are seasonal, except, well, including some that are spread by those kind of mosquitoes. Is it possible that some folks wish that dengue fever would spread some more? Like, how do we do the necessary service to humanity without being carried away into becoming the narcissist? We tread a thin line, always, all the time, that thin line. Look at this scenario. Say I make a painkiller with all the other ones on the market, but I also spent billions in researching a certain disease that has now become an epidemic. How do I recover my investment? Is there a system that will tell the competitors to step off, or tell the patients to buy my pain tablet only for that particular disease, and to even claim that it is the only safe one, so I would be protected? Are there cases where money decides on truth of health and not the truth about health itself? How do we navigate these delicate situations? These are there are cancer research, HIV research, etc., etc. The medications are expensive, and people have come to depend on them for incurable diseases. Countries have come to be almost dependent on these revenues. Will the government for these countries be anxious to suddenly find a cure for these diseases? Let's say, for example, and let's put it in the context of one country, say America. Suppose 19.5% or to 25% of the US hard cash come from the selling of drugs, right? Let's say that. And one of the biggest sale is probably HIV medication or cancer medication. So let's say, for example, there was a sudden cure for cancer and AIDS. Just one pill each and they are gone. Would not that be too much of a humongous difference for the American economy? Would the United States economy be threatened? Would it threaten to collapse? The way people with cancer suffer for all these many years, dying and paying for medicine although they are still dying, and not being able to do much otherwise, ensure that they pay over their life savings to the investor and then die with nothing. And because we are selling them the medicine, do we forget that we must be careful not to bother on the line of giving them life that is worse than death? Like we force them to live and be in hell so that they will keep paying even in the pain that they are in. At that point, do we cast the empathic side of our humanity aside for narcissistic solutions? Do we? I remember someone telling me about someone being charged with attempted murder because he tried to kill himself. One of my worst experiences ever in life was to hear a sick person in pain screaming all day, every day, and begging to die. The story about the one who attempted suicide was supposed to be a funny joke, but not so funny it was. A man was prevented from killing himself. Then soon afterward, he killed someone else who was not trying to hurt himself or anyone else. We invest in healthcare. So when we send healthcare, he better not be committing suicide and not going to where he will pay us for service. We care about having him to pay us for service. Does it come off that way? Sometimes all some people have left is to die. Sometimes that's all they are left with. This is not endorsing suicide. Don't get me wrong. It is to highlight the certain ironies. At what point do we separate the monetary profits from our humanity? If we invest in healthcare and make it all about profit, we could forget that we should be serving the very people that get hurt by policies in the first place. You should not kill, but you should remember that sometimes people must be allowed to die because it is the natural effect. If rendering the masses to an evil superficial fear of death will serve the purpose of keeping them inflated upon a machine, yet being of no value to themselves, but as lucrative to you, will you do right or will you do wrong? Can we separate our greed from our humanity? People eat themselves to sickness, and we know that. And if we sell the medicines, must we sell the food too? People eat themselves to sickness, and sick people become lucrative to those that invest in sickness. In other spheres, a conflict of interest will ever be the red flag. Why do we often fail to see humongous stuff that is in our faces all day? Yes, it is a worthy investment, but where do we start monitoring and drawing lines? What is the daily recommendation for vitamins for a black man? And is it the same as for a white person? Because I noticed that there are always only one standard. I remember the issue about the many black people injected with syphilis for research, and they were injected with it without their knowing. Who would stand to benefit? How much would they benefit? And at what point would they get back to humanity? If we invest in diseases, will we have a tendency to pay for epidemics or even worse? In fact, will we pray for epidemics? In fact, will we ever will to create these maladies and turn hundreds of millions to hundreds of billions of dollars? Will we ever wish to create these maladies and turn hundreds of millions to hundreds of billions? Think about that. Would we have that kind of mindset? Because our greed turned us from being empathic to being narcissists. You know, I was thinking to myself about weapons of war and how many they make. Those that invest in weapons of war need war to sell these weapons, at least beyond a certain threshold. Sometimes we often wonder how wars begin when the people never wanted to start any. Would a person who invests in war wish for war when there was none? Moreover, when will be the best time to test a weapon or war technology? People invest in chaos, in that they will be the ones with the answers and others would have to depend on them for definitions. So whoever he said that started the war is ever who started the war, and you will have to accept because you don't know. He said John started the war, so John started the war. However, the war never benefits the civilians, how they die. But new weapons are being seen in use. Old weapons get ready to be reused or put to rest. Billions of dollars swing one way, and the blood of the people again is sacrificed. My beloved people, think on these things. Please, again, think on these things and be at peace within. Peace out.